This is actually my BMW E46 that was left to rot under a tree for 4 years. After getting this car started again through an MOT and fixing all the little bits, we found a big problem.
In the last video, I made a massive mistake. I severely overestimated my mechanical knowledge and started to attempt to fix a clutch. Boy, was that a bad idea. It was an awful idea.
And the reason for that is because the clutch was slipping so horrendously under anything more than 20% throttle.
Now, I've changed 2 clutches before on my Mini Cooper and my Citroen C1. Not that they were easy, but they were both front-wheel drive cars, so the gearbox was at the front, which means I could attack the bolts from the top and the bottom. With this E46, you're attacking the top bolts from the bottom, all while laying on your back. We've all had an unexpected bill come from a car for like £600 or £1,000 or £1,500, and maybe you can't afford to pay it, or maybe you just don't want to. This channel is getting your hands dirty in saving that extra cash and getting your pride and joy back on the road. And if I couldn't do it, how would you guys feel that you could do it as well? And all for you guys, that's why I just did the longest graveyard shift, pull it out, the gearbox on the E46. I could not let you guys down.
This gearbox was the final boss at the end of a mission. These gearbox bolts were on tight. And I thought being tight was a good thing, but not for gearbox bolts. It makes my life a ball ache. I even ended up rounding one of the gearbox bolts because it was that tight, which caused a whole lot of issues on how to get that out. I tried welding a nut onto the rounded bolt. I just couldn't get a good enough weld. I tried hitting extractor sockets onto it, but I didn't have enough room and couldn't get enough bite on it. So the last resort was actually just shaving off the head of the bolt so it can just slide out once we're prying the gearbox away from the engine. So then we can move on to the 2 bolts holding the starter motor in.
Yes! Oh my god, that was a fucking mission.
And we could take off the last 2 main bell housing bolts, which were not easy to get to by any means.
Yes! Perseverance, mate. I could suck on that right now.
And after all of those days' work, we could finally yank the gearbox off, which looked easier than it actually was, and slowly but surely lower this down on the jack, ready to change that clutch over, get this car moving all over again.
Can I put this down yet? It's fucking heavy.
Fucking God.
Whew. Brother, you weigh more than my nan, and she's 130 kg. It's finally off. I truthfully did not think I could do this. It's now off, and we can get the clutch changed, flywheel changed over, all of the hardware in the gearbox change over, and get this car back on road, finally, and feel the full power of this 330 Ci E46. All for you guys.
So now we're actually under the car, and if I actually flip the camera around, we ain't got that much room under here, but this is actually the pressure plate right here. We've got a couple bolts holding it on. We're gonna whiz them off, and then before you know it, lads, we're gonna have a new clutch. We're gonna be drifting around a place in this E46, just like it should have always been. But at the moment, it can barely make it up any hills, so let's change this over right now. Right, and there is actually the pressure plate and the clutch right there. Got a fucking flying saucer, fam. Meow.
So next up, we're actually replacing the flywheel, which consists of these 8 90mm bolts. Don't even ask me what a flywheel does. I couldn't tell you. If somebody wants to put use of a flywheel in the comments below, I'll subscribe to you, because I'd love to know.
Lit. Next up, what we're removing is the pilot bearing, which is right here. To get this out, I don't know if this is an April Fool's joke, but I'm putting in wet paper towel. Some people use bread, and I'm just smacking it in, and eventually this pilot bearing should push itself out. This is not something I thought I'd be doing on Christmas Eve, but it is what it is.
Now, this process is a very long-winded one, but it does save you a tenner, so that you can go down the back alley at McDonald's instead and hire out Tracy for the night. A win-win, if you ask me. And to my surprise, it was slowly coming out. I did not think this would actually work.
So close. Oh, I think it's coming. Oi! We've got it! Oh, we've got it! Oh my god, it worked!
As you lads sat at home know, there's no fun without cleanup. So we had to remove all of the old tissue, then slowly but surely line up and hammer in the new bearing so that it's all fresh, ready for everything to go back together.
With this BMW E46 though, we're actually doing a little bit of a conversion. We've got a conversion kit. We're actually switching the dual mass flywheel, which is this hunk of metal right here. We're actually switching the dual mass for a single mass flywheel, but it's a lot lighter than the dual mass, which means hopefully we will actually be able to rev up a little bit quicker and put more power to the rear wheels. Only slightly, but that's never not a bad thing, more power.
And also not to mention, the single mass is about 3 times cheaper. 3 times! They're acting like there's not a cost of living crisis out here, mate. Come on.
So next up was lining the new flywheel up, putting the bolts in and torquing them down. And I suggest you close your eyes for this next bit. The next thing to go on was actually the clutch and pressure plate, but to make sure that it's all centered up, we actually use a clutch alignment tool, which I'm currently just pushing through right now, and this makes sure everything stays center while we install it to the car. Now, while we were at it, these bolts were so tight, they absolutely destroyed the current threads in the gearbox. So we had to drill out the old ones and tap in a new one ready for a helicoil to go in, which is basically just a brand new thread so that this gearbox can sit tightly together and so it doesn't fall out halfway through the McDonald's drive-thru.
There is a few things we need to change in here, like this release bearing. We've got a new one right here. The spring, because that's been in since World War II. We've got one right here. And we've got a few more things to change as well while we're in here.
So the first thing to change is the release bearing. This puts pressure on the pressure plate when you put in the clutch, then the clutch fork, and then we get rid of this spring, which basically holds the clutch fork in place. After a quick clean, it was then actually time to tap out the old plastic pivot.
Bye, have a great time.
This is you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Look at that.
Now, after tapping that in, it was time to get this gearbox all back together with new parts.
Job done. And that is all ready to go back on the car now. Yes.
Now, getting this gearbox in was easier said than done. This hunk of metal weighs 39 kg. And trying to lift that up with my puny arms and on my back and trying to line the splines from the gearbox to the engine was ridiculously hard. In the end, I had to tilt the engine using a wooden block and a trolley jack. And this allowed me to align the gearbox with the engine so much easier as it's pointing a little bit further down. And now the gearbox was in, all we had to do was tighten up the bell housing bolts and get all of the different components like the prop shaft, starter motor, and everything back in the car, ready to lower it down and test this clutch.
Exhaust is in, gearbox is in, new flywheel, new clutch. Time to get this car down. Oh, oh, oh my God. Look at this. Oi! Back on road, mate. Back on road. Scary thing is, right, when you do a clutch, you're taking apart everything. I'm talking prop shafts, exhaust, everything comes off. So if I haven't installed one thing correctly, well then it's not gonna work. Without further ado, first start up. We've also taken the start motor out, so a little bit of an exhaust blow. Let's go back. If this moves, it does. Am I gonna hit? Reverse gear worked. Clutch all good. I guess we're gonna go on our first drive tomorrow, but it sounds quite nice with that exhaust blow. That sounds good.
Now then though, there is actually one thing on the car underneath the bonnet
To actually change before we get this back on the road, or it could lead to severe problems. And if you guys are an E46 owner, this is a very common issue on the car.
After a journey in this car, I've actually got a headache because I feel like I'm in the next World War, mate. I'm actually getting gassed out in the cabin from oil burning on the exhaust manifold. On closer inspection, you can actually see that it's a bit wet around the rocker. And if you look on the sensors as well, they're also wet with dried oil on them.
What that issue is, which is a very common issue on E46s, is the rocker cover gasket. This is a 20+ year old car. So the gasket, which should be rubber, is probably more like stone at this moment, and it's just crumbling away. And it's letting oil leak down onto the exhaust manifold and just smoking up and stinking me out when I'm driving the car.
Now luckily rocker covers are super easy on this E46 and only cost around £20 to change.
So this right here is actually the rocker cover that we're going to be replacing today. This is how a rocker cover should look, like a nice rubber. It's soft and it will keep the oil from spilling out the engine. This thing had one job and it failed. I could use it as a hula hoop as well, or a necklace. Now once we've actually got the rocker cover all changed over, hopefully, fingers crossed, we should have a tip-top working BMW E46. Now other than keeping up with servicing, there's also one device that you can own that will make sure your car stays in tip-top shape, and if anything does go wrong, you know exactly what went wrong. And that device is actually Carista Evo, an insanely powerful OBD2 Bluetooth adapter that you can keep in your glove box.
Simply plug this into your OBD port on your car, connect to your phone, and then you can do some awesome things.
Now one of my family members, they actually had a check engine light come up and it was going in and out of limp mode.
Using the Carista Evo device, I scanned the code and it came up as an EGR fault.
They took it to the mechanic to get a new EGR valve and the engine light went away and the car was back to fine. Now also with Carista, you can read live data from the car and all the different sensors to make sure your car is running in tip-top shape. And if it isn't, you can see exactly what isn't running in tip-top shape. That would explain why it's leaking. That's meant to be rubber and it's literally plastic.
And not only that, Carista Evo can even perform DIY service procedures such as battery registration for specific vehicles. It can reset those annoying service interval reminders, fuel system priming, and so on and so on.
And not only that, on certain makes and models of cars, you can actually unlock hidden features like opening the sunroof through the key on this Ford Puma. And so many other options to personalize your car to your liking. You can check if your car is compatible using the link in the description.
So if you guys are at all interested in picking up a Carista Evo device, well then click the link in the description and use discount code Michael25 for money off your purchase. An absolutely incredible, powerful tool to keep in your glove box of your car. This rocker cover is so bad and it was causing oil to leak out the engine and onto the exhaust manifold, which was causing a smoking issue. Look at this, ready? This should be nice rubber. Look at that. These pieces should be rubber, but look at that. Wow. Jeez. But basically the long job now, which isn't a fun job, is to take off the existing gasket, which isn't going to be an easy job because of how hard it is, and replace it with a fresh new one so that we don't get gassed out every single time we're driving this car. Bro, it sounds like pork scratching.
So now we've switched the Gandhi's flip-flop of gaskets to the brand new one. We can get the whole car put back together, which was a lot easier than I really thought. It's a super nice car to work on other than the clutch.
And there we go, all back together, all talked up now. And now it's time to go on our first drive in the E46 with the new clutch, flywheel and rocker cover. So hopefully we're not going to get gassed out, and after like 100 or 200 miles we can actually test the full power of this 330 Ci. Let's go! There it actually is, guys, the BMW E46 back on road. This clutch has taught me so much, and every single problem I came across, from the bolt snapping, them being super tight, I worked my way through them and I never ever gave up. And this is a lesson to you lot. Don't give up, because every problem could be a lesson. Every loss could be a lesson. And although this car did take me 4 weeks, I'm really genuinely embarrassed to say that, it's finally back on road. And I did it all myself. So we got a new rocker cover on there. The old one was like Gandhi's flip-flop from 2000 BC, breaking apart. Now it seems to be not leaking because we're not getting smoke, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm not getting gassed out. Literally a 10-minute drive, I'd come back with a flipping headache because all the burning oil would just be seeping into the cabin. Now the car does have a bit of an exhaust blow right now, and by a bit I mean a lot, because two of the studs connecting the exhaust to the cab basically snapped. We are getting a new aftermarket exhaust, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We went into the clutch change with an E46 and we came out with a Mustang. Listen to this. Without further ado now, let's hop in this BMW E46 330. See, ow, my foot!
And let's drive this car for the first time with the full power.
Yes, we did it! New clutch and flywheel. That's my first flywheel I've ever changed. If you guys don't think you can change the clutch, neither did I. But look at me, a month later, we are back on road. Let's give it a bit more than 20% throttle. Mate! Whee! Oh my God, we will be moving when we put full throttle down. But we've got to bed the clutch in first, of course. Oh, it pulls so much better now. Ah! I'm creaming! That sounds like an E46 M3. I don't know if they use the same engine. You guys would know better than me, but it sounds, when it revs up, oh, sounds like an M3. Yeah. Oh my God, it actually puts power down now with the new clutch and flywheel. Man. As always though guys, all insured with Adrian Flux. Whether you're looking for modified car insurance, or temporary insurance, click the link in the description. I know there's a lot of trouble around car insurance at the moment, but I always go to Adrian Flux. And they cover modifications, which is great peace of mind for someone like me. Oh, that sounds, you know what? Oh! I cannot wait to get an exhaust on this. Oh, mate, that hit the spot. Woo! The fact that this car was sat off-road for 4 years when it could have always been like this. Let's feel a bit of power. Oh, mate, that is moving. That is, I'm not even putting my foot down properly. It's actually not slipping anymore. Oh, why does it sound like an M3? Why does it sound like an E46 M3?
So after changing the clutch and the flywheel on this BMW E46, we have resurrected from the ground 24 years of sheer power from that 6-cylinder 3-litre engine. And boy, I could tell you, it did not disappoint. It was not a disappointment, unlike me to my mum. But honestly, that has transformed the way that this thing drives. This ain't an E46 anymore. This is a fucking choo-choo train because it pulls, mate. 2 months ago, it was sat under a tree, still rotting away, collecting mold and dirt, and now it's finally back. It has truly taken a lot of money and a lot of time and energy to get this car back to where it was, from fixing everything from the stalling issue to the alternator belts, the suspension components, and even cleaning off the 4 years of dirt that was soiled onto the paintwork. And all that work just makes this car that much more special, as well as all you lot supporting and helping me get this car restored and repaired. Now, it's still not in the best of condition. We've still got the front bumper to respray. We've got all these little paint chippings. People asking what all these white dots are. It's actually the paint chipping. I don't know if you can see. We're going to sort that out in the next video. There is actually one more thing I want to do, and we can do it on the side of the flipping road, mate. And if we actually come to the back of the car, mobile mechanic and that, we have got everything we need to install what's in this box right here. And it's just going to be a quick and easy install. So let's get to it. For a completely stock car, this sits lovely, but we can improve it. And whatever is in this box will make this car sit a little bit prettier. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Wheel bolts and 2 more boxes. It's like pass the parcel. So these right here are actually some wheel spacers, which are a cheap and easy upgrade to increase the handling slightly and make the car look that little bit better. So this right here is a spacer. It's just a piece of metal that sits on your hub and it pushes the wheel out that much pretty much. Very, very simple design, but it should bring the wheel out just that nice and perfect amount. Only 15 millimeters on the back, 12 millimeters on the front. This is a great mod for you guys to do to your car because it's such a simple and easy job. Even I can't mess it up. And I mess up everything I do. Let's get these wheel spacers on, boy. Look how simple this is. On the side of the road.
So after jacking the car up, it's as simple as taking the wheel off and sliding it under the car. So just in case it falls on a wheel.
So it pushes the wheel out that much. Very, very simple device. But with wheel spacers, you've got to make sure you get the extended bolts to compensate for the spacer. This one is a lot longer than the stock one. 15 millimeters longer. And as simple as that. Bada bing, bada boom. How'd you like that with your spaghetti bolognese? Don't forget to torque your nuts up. 2, 4, 5. There is actually the final result. As you can see, push the wheel out so nicely to the point where it's in line with the arch, which just makes it look a teeny bit better. It could even do with a bit of lowering, to be fair, but that's as good as it's going to get for today.
Doing this on the side of the road just shows you at home how simple and easy this is. So if you were looking to start modifying your car or working on it, this would be a great first job to do. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Get on eBay right now and order yourself a spacer kit for your car right now.
So this right here is before all the wheels are tucked really, really far in. And over here, as you can see, the wheels are literally aligned with the arch.
And within half an hour, all 4 spacers were all installed, which made the car look like this. A slight but great improvement.
Unfortunately, guys, that is the end of today's video. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy. Make sure you hit the subscribe button because we're going to be doing some fruity things to this E46, as well as sorting out all of this little chipped paint in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you love faces in my next video. Bye.